Hi everybody, it's Cheyenne with Apothecary. I'm so thankful to have you here again for our second round of plants for the Herb of the Month Club. We are into August now, so we are doing hawthorn. I wanted to introduce you to the hawthorn tree out in the field so that you know how to find it, what parts to use, and kind of what it looks like. So just a quick introduction. This is a hawthorn leaf here. So hawthorn can vary quite a bit depending on what region you're in. In Calgary and Alberta, most hawthorn species that we see are going to have a serrated edge. So just like this guy here, a serrated edge on the leaf. Some of them can be more lobed, so the dips in the leaf edge go in a lot deeper. But yeah, most of the ones in Alberta have a serrated edge, so that is something to consider. This is actually in the rose family, so it has a lot of the same patterns of the rose family. So their flowers have 5 petals, and things like that. They have thorns. So just as a quick introduction to their thorns, this tree here behind me doesn't have any pretty super huge ones, but they can get quite long, like up to 3 inches. So the ones that are on here right now are more like these guys here. So they're maybe like an inch tall. So you can't do a whole lot with this particular variety of them, but you can still use it to do things like maybe sew up some clothing and things like that. It just depends on what you're going to use it for. So they are still tough and sturdy and available for any of your puncturing needs. So now we're going to take a look at the fruit. So we have lots of different little red berries growing all over the tree here. And if you look up real close at one, it looks like a tiny little apple. So it is very apple-like in its texture and things like that, but it's very tiny, so you're going to be working with a lot. Now, when I bite into one of these, I find that they taste like nothing. The fruit tastes mild. Nothing to write home about, but it could be easily combined with other flavors for sure. So I could see it being in pies, even stir fries and things like that, to soups, tea of course. So these little fruits can be dried and powdered and used in various ways, or you can dry the whole fruit intact, or you can actually separate the seeds like this one here, this little guy, and once you collect enough of them, you can actually dry them and use them as a coffee substitute. So you can roast them, dry them and roast them and use them as a coffee substitute. So it is something that you can have if that is morale boosting for you out in the wild. And what's cool about it is that the fruit is high in bioflavonoids, so really good for the cardiovascular system and heart health. Hawthorn is one of the most well-known plants in terms of heart health for sure. And it is very heavily used in herbal medicine because of its cardiovascular helpers in there. So yeah, the fruit can be preserved or it can be eaten fresh, but eaten fresh, it's not very sweet, but it's not bitter or anything like that either. So depending on who you are, you may or may not like it. I quite like it just for a little snack to snack on as I'm going. And certainly with all the smoke that we've been having recently, the little help to our cardiovascular system is not unwanted, that's for sure. So now we're going to go crawl under the tree and check out the bark of the tree. So if we look up here, this is the bark of hawthorn. We can see it's got like papery kind of strips on there that we can sort of rip off with varying degrees of brownness to it. Hawthorn wood is very useful in survival situations for things like building, for having fires. The fires give off a lot of heat, they burn very well, and yeah, useful extremely for keeping yourself warm. And because it's widely available, you can often find them out in the wild and things like that where you're going to need to know where they are. because we've crawled under the tree a little bit here, I can give you a quick peek at the thorns that are a lot bigger down here than they were up there. So if we look right here, this one is about 2 inches long, so we got quite a big thorn to work with if we need to. So these ones were found definitely closer to the trunk of the tree. So I imagine the older the branches, the further back the thorns are going to grow. So yeah, you can use hawthorn for building, for fires, for food, for medicine, for shelter, for all sorts of things. It's a very useful tree to get to know for sure. They do hybridize with each other, so you may find quite a bit of variation in the hawthorn trees in your area. So it's definitely something to get familiar with wherever you live, honestly. So keeping that in mind, I found that the hawthorn looked a lot like little apple tree, like little apples on an apple tree. But just in comparison, I will show you an apple tree right beside it. So here's hawthorn, and then here is an apple tree. So if we take one of the fruit from here and take it over to the hawthorn fruit, you can see there's a big difference in size and shape and everything. So the little one is the hawthorn and the bigger one is the apple. I could easily see them being combined into a delicious sort of apple pie or something like that. So awesome, thanks for tuning in. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know, comment, like, share, whatever you need to do. And definitely, if you're not already involved, get involved with our Herb of the Month Club. There's free options and also paid for memberships depending on how serious and in-depth you want your lessons to be. Yeah, thanks again. Get out there, explore. Let me know if you have any experience with hawthorn. I want to hear your stories. Have a good day.